Thanks for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, a long goodbye. Musical memorials and interfaith tributes are shared at a special ceremony in Cape Town that celebrates the life and philosophy of the late South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Also, Somalia's Prime Minister discusses the country's deepening political feud with top US officials. There's growing international concern that the president's suspension of the premier on Monday could spark military clashes. And rights campaigners warn that accusations of sorcery are being used in Kenya to force elderly widows off their land. Over 150 women have been killed over the last couple of years after being labelled as witches by their communities. But first, mourners held a candle-lit vigil outside of the home in Soweto of the late South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu on Wednesday. The anti-apartheid hero died aged 90 on Sunday after a lifetime of speaking up against injustice. His values transcended his religion, and later in the day, an interfaith ceremony was held in Cape Town in his honour. His funeral will be held on Saturday. Nadine Theron tells us more.
As Secretary General of the South African Council of Churches for 10 years during apartheid, Desmond Tutu embraced religious inclusivity even before he became the Archbishop. It was through this interfaith organization of diverse religious leaders that churches became meeting places for liberation discussions. And so churches played a crucial role in South Africa's struggle for freedom. That's why Wednesday's interfaith prayer service was held in Cape Town City Hall for Tutu's family and friends. The service was also broadcast to the public on a screen outside, and a small gathering of Cape Townians attended this relaxed and unifying event. Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Khoi, San and African traditional religious leaders all paid tribute to the Arch in their own way, as did dignified anti-apartheid activists who were close to him.
And the Arch never flinched from calling out leaders. He invoked the ire of apartheid leaders, and he also invoked the ire of our newly elected leaders, and this is across all political parties. But I, like all his children, benefited enormously from his limitless love, his impish humor, his support and his forbearance of our waywardness.
On Thursday morning, the Arch's remains will be taken to St. George's Cathedral, where the casket will lie in state for the public to pay tribute to the Archbishop Desmond Tutu on Thursday and Friday until his funeral held there at St. George's Cathedral on Saturday. President CHERYL Ramaphosa has declared the send-off an official state funeral, and around 500 dignified guests from across the globe are expected to attend.
Nadine Theron there for us. Now, a Kenyan lawmaker was injured in his eye when he was hit by another member of parliament during a fight that broke out on the floor of the House on Wednesday. The session had been called to vote on laws regulating the conduct of political parties and the formation of coalitions. MP Bernard Koros was hurt after a shouting match degenerated into a scuffle. The voting session was suspended, and lawmaker John Mbadi has been barred from the chamber for 5 days because of the violence.
Mr. Speaker, I've been attacked in this house by the master of violence in this house, Mr. Speaker.
Well, the UN and other countries are negotiating with all sides of Somalia's crisis to try and de-escalate tensions caused by a political feud between the Prime Minister and President. Prime Minister Mohamed Roble spoke with the US Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs on Wednesday about the standoff. It sparked fears of a military clash as troops loyal to Roble camped out near the presidential palace. On Monday, he was suspended by President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed for suspected corruption. It's the latest clash in a long-running row between the pair over the country's delayed legislative and presidential elections. Political analyst Matthew Bryden tells us more.
Well, the origins go back to February this year, when the president, in the absence of elections, tried to have his term of office extended by 2 years. In fact, it expired in February. And there was fighting in the capital that was finally subdued and resolved by a political agreement under which the Prime Minister would take charge of organizing parliamentary elections and then a presidential election. Now, that agreement has essentially expired. The elections are underway very slowly, but they haven't been completed yet. The president accused the Prime Minister of incompetence and corruption, and the Prime Minister, for his part, has accused the president's loyalists of interfering in the election, rigging it, and now of the president attempting a failed coup to take over the government this week. The Army Chief of Staff, the Commissioner of Federal Police, most of the cabinet are on the side of the Prime Minister. So it is the president who's isolated. The capital, Mogadishu, is surprisingly calm. No tension between opposing camps, except at the presidency itself, where there are soldiers loyal to both sides. But the president's group is outnumbered, and I think he has been in discussions with foreign diplomats about the situation over the last few hours, trying to insist that he's in charge. But I think the reality is that the president is likely to be forced to leave in the coming days unless there's some unexpected change in the situation.
10 days ahead of the kick-off of the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Cameroon, and Liverpool star Mohamed Salah has been named as the headliner of Egypt's squad. The country is a 7-time tournament winner, and its team is amongst the favourites. Now, worldwide, most prosthetics are matched to lighter skin tones, but one Nigerian artist has turned his hand to creating hyper-realistic, dark-skinned prosthetics to try and help ease amputees' loss of confidence. Laurent Berstecker tells us more.
In 2018, Michael Sunday lost 3 fingers in a car accident. Today, he's discovering his new hand.
Wow, finally, I have my fingers back.
This lifelike silicone glove looks just like the real thing, and its color even matches the tone of Michael's skin.
It has really helped me because I can go about my normal life without looking at my hand, without hiding my hands, or fear of discrimination or fear of pity.
Much like the rest of the world, the majority of prosthetics available in Nigeria are white or made out of wood, a source of discomfort and even of shame for amputees who already face discrimination because of their condition. When John Amanam became aware of the issue after a family member lost a limb, he decided to start making his own dark-skinned prosthetics. The former art student, who also worked on special effects for movies, creates personalized parts for his clients. He sometimes spends hours mixing paints as he searches for the right skin tone.
I discovered that I had 1 or 2 people who had amputations around me, and they had this feeling of discomfort whenever they were around normal people. And I saw it as a challenge, that if I could give back or solve this need.
These prosthetic limbs take up to 2 months to make and cost upwards of $100. A small price to pay for customers like Michael, who says his new hand has helped him feel whole again.
Well, in Kenya, 4 elderly women were burned alive in October after being accused of sorcery. Over the last 2 years, around 150 people, mainly women, were killed in similar circumstances. Rights groups say that the accusations are often a way to force women off their land. Our team reports.
Helen is visiting a home recently burned down for the 2nd time. This human rights defender is supporting the families of 4 elderly women who were murdered in the neighborhood in October.
They were removed from their homes and burnt, accused of being witches.
At least 6 people face violence every month on suspicion of sorcery in Kisii County. Jacqueline's mother is one of the latest victims, accused of having bewitched her neighbor's ailing son.
When I got to the neighbor's house, the father was saying that he'd woken up and went to wake up his son, but he found out that he wasn't responding.
Adding to the trauma, videos of the lynching are still circulating online. While terrified, Jacqueline still lives in the village. Other relatives of the victims, like Janet, went into hiding. Seeking help, she's meeting with the activist. According to them, the killings have nothing to do with traditional beliefs.
It's just disputes over there, not witchcraft. It's only about land disputes.
Human rights organizations say that witchcraft killings are usually a pretext for property theft. Many elderly women don't have title. Perpetrators bank on the community's fear of sorcery and widespread sanctioning of the practice.
What we realized is that the village elders were also there. That's what's shocking. Our government, people who are supposed to protect us. And you can see others there watching, the women getting burnt.
To elicit a greater government and community response, rights groups in the area are intensifying their campaigns. Local leaders declined to comment, but warned the community against taking the law into their own hands.
We have channels to address that issue. We have the police, we have the administrator, the chief office is there to address such issues.
9 suspects are currently in court over the killings, but victims' families say some perpetrators are still at large. A task force is investigating the roots of witchcraft-related killings in the region and is set to release its report soon.
And finally, an X-ray has revealed the hidden face of the Egyptian pharaoh Amenhotep I. The region ruled between 1525 and 1504 BC, and his mummified remains were discovered in 1881 in southern Egypt. Scientists say that a non-invasive probe has helped them establish Amenhotep's age at his time of death. He's thought to have been in his mid-30s, in good health, and with great teeth. Sounds like quite the catch.
The mummy was covered with a mask. Never anyone saw the face. But with new technology, we're able to reveal many secrets about the mummy. Number one, he died in the age of 35. We found the brain inside the mummy, and this will never happen with other mummies. The brain is there. Also, we found many important things about this mummy. Inside, about 30 amulets, and a belt down covered with many golden beads. This discovery, for the first time, show that technology can make discoveries without disturbing the mummy.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us. Do so again if you can. Till then, take care.